Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today we are starting our session 9. In today's lecture we will discuss about F5 load balancing methods. So we will discuss about static load balancing algorithms and dynamic load balancing algorithms, and at the end we will discuss about application delivery controller. So let's discuss about member load balancing and node load balancing method. In this diagram you can see that the request is going to the server 1. The reason why it is going towards the server 1, because you can see in the current connection table, the least connection of HTTP request is on server 1. Server 2 and server 3 has higher request than server 1. So the big IP will forward the request to the server 1. It is not considering the other FTP request. Similarly, in node load balancing algorithm, you can see that F5 is forwarding the HTTP request to server 3. Even the HTTP request of server 1 is 19 and the HTTP request of server 3 is 23. Here the question is why server 3 is receiving a request from a big IP. In a node load balancing, F5 will consider the complete concurrent sessions. Either it is HTTP or FTP. So if you add these two values, it will become 26. Similarly, if you add these two values, it will become 44. So 26 is less than 44. That's why it is forwarding the request to the HTTP request. So now let's discuss about round robin load balancing method. Robin load balancing is a default method of F5, and the use case of this load balancer method is when you have the same server resources. So in this diagram you can see that the client request is coming to the big IP device and it is forwarding the request in a round robin fashion. The first request came to server 1, second request came to server 2, third request came to server 3, and the fourth request came to server 4. Similarly, when the fifth request came, it again came to server 1. So this is called round robin load balancing method. So let's discuss about ratio load balancing. Ratio load balancing, also known as weighted round robin. It distributes the connection based on user defined ratios. When a pool member have different performance capabilities, so you can use this type of algorithm. Let's suppose if you have a server pool, and in your server you have different capabilities of your server. The computing power is different, so you can assign the ratio on behalf of the computing power of that server. So on that behalf it will forward the request. So let's discuss this example. The server 1 and server 2 has a ratio 3. Similarly, server 3 and server 4 has a ratio 1. So we assume that server 3 and server 4 is performance wise slower than server 1 and server 2. So how the big IP will forward the request to these servers? The first request will come to server 1. The second request will go to server 2. The third request will go to server 3. And the fourth request will go to server 4. If the fifth request will come, it will forward to the server 1 and server 2. Similarly, when the seventh request will come, it will forward to again to server 1, not to server 3 and server 4. And once the eighth request will come, it will forward to the server 2. So now, as per the ratio, server 1 and server 2 both have 3 requests. Now if the next request will come, it will forward to server 3 and server 4. So this type of load balancing method is known as ratio load balancing method. So now let's discuss about dynamic load balancing. So in our last slide we had discussed about static load balancing. So now let's discuss about dynamic load balancing. There are different types of algorithms: least connection, fastest, least sessions, weighted least connection, observed, predictive, and dynamic ratio. So let's discuss all these one by one. Least connection. In least connection, the big IP device distribute the load based on active connection. So the common use case for this least connection is for HTTP or HTTPS, FTP or SSH. So let me explain with the diagram. So in this diagram, you can see that big IP device is forwarding the request to server 1 because in the connection table, server 1 has the lower connection as compared to server 2 and server 3. So this is least connection. Fastest connection. The fastest connection load balancing method based on the number of outstanding layer 7 requests to a pool member. So what do you mean by outstanding request? A request that has not yet received a response is known as outstanding request. So the fastest connection is only applicable for layer 7 HTTP requests or HTTPS requests or any other protocol which supports layer 7. For a fastest connection load balancing, you need to assign a L7 profile. So let me explain you with the diagram. When a big IP device receives a request, it forwards it to the server. Once it forwards to the server, it increment the counter. Let's suppose the counter value of server 1 is 1 and the counter value of server 2 is 2, or the counter value of server 3 is 4 and the counter value of server 4 is 4. Until and unless if it not receive a response, it will not decrease the counter value. So in fastest connection, the big IP appliance distributes the traffic based on the counter value. Any server which has the less counter value, it will receive the request from the big IP device. The use case for the fastest method is useful in this environment where nodes are across different logical networks. Like let's suppose you have multiple nodes, but two servers are in head office or two different servers are in the branch office and connected via MPLS cloud. So in this case, as the big IP will wait for the response to decrease the counter value, so it will be helpful for the big IP appliance to decide where he need to send the new request. So let's discuss about least session. The least session load balance the traffic based on the persistence records that are stored in a persistent table. So this is very simple load balancing method, and you have to keep in mind that the least session method are incompatible with the cookie persistence. Ratio least connection. This ratio least connection based on ratio and least connection. You can say this type of algorithm as hybrid load balancing method. So let's discuss this diagram. In this diagram we can see that we have ratio tier 1 and ratio tier 2, and the current sessions connections for the server 1 server 2 is 10, and similarly the current connection for server 3 and server 4 are 20 and 18. So for server 1 the ratio is 1 1, and for server 2 the ratio is 2 2. So as per the ratio and current connection, the next request will forward to the server 4 because server 4 has 18 current session. Weighted least connection. This method distribute connection based on the lowest percentage of each pool member. So let's discuss with the diagram. You can see that we have server 1 and server 2, and in this diagram the maximum current limit of server 1 is 100 and server 2 maximum limit is 200. Please keep in mind that for the connection, for the weight least connection, you have to define the maximum connection limit. So as per the current connections, server 1 has 30 current connection and server 2 has 30 current connection, but the limit of the server 1 and server 2 are different. So the capacity of server 1 is 30% and the capacity of server 2 is 15%. So based on the lowest percentage, F5 will forward the traffic to the server 2. Observed load balancing. Observed load balancing distribute connection based on the number of current active layer 4 connections. Observed load balancing checks the data on every seconds. The pool member with the least amount of connection will receive a higher ratio. So let me discuss with the diagram. So you can see that this server has a current connection 5, this server has a current connection of 7, and this server has a current connection of 9. So as per the diagram, the least connection is 5, so the ratio of this server will be increased. So the next request will come to this server. Observed load balancing method is not recommended, especially for large pool. This is not a recommended load balancing method. Predictive load balancing. This method is very similar to observed load balancing method, but instead of current active connection, it compares the current active connection with the previous active connection. So it is comparing the old values of active connection with the new values of the active connection. This predictive load balancing is also known as delta. So finally, let's discuss about the benefits of ADC. There are many benefits of application delivery and controller. So let's discuss some of them. Like we can, with help of ADC, the efficiency will be maximum because we can offload the SSL traffic on our big IP device, due to which the server resources can be utilized properly. Similarly, the performance will be increased with the help of HTTP caching, compression, and load balancing algorithms. Big IP also provide the reliability. It makes sure that the request will go always to the available servers by using health monitors. It also provide the disaster recovery if we use the GTM, which is global load balancing. The main advantage of the big IP device is scalability. You can add any server easily without changing the design. You don't need to redesign the infrastructure. You just need to add a server, so it will increase the throughput, number of requests. So finally, let's discuss about capacity. It is obvious that a single server cannot entertain all the requests. If you have a big organization and your incoming request rate is very high, so it is impossible that your server will entertain all the requests until and unless it's a really big server. So to entertain all the requests, your system or your application must have the capacity to entertain all the requests. So with the help of the ADC, you can simply add the server in a pool member, so you can increase the number of request capacity and throughput. So I hope guys you like my channel, and please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Thank you so much. Take care.